But it's the difference. So here's the good news. We have anxiety about negotiating, but mostly that anxiety is about negotiating for ourselves. And I bet everyone in this room, if you think about the last couple of days, who did I negotiate for? And by negotiate, I mean ask for anything. Can he have another spoon? I need 2 more sugars for her. Right? Anything that you have to ask for, I'm calling a negotiation. And that anxiety is about when we're negotiating for ourselves usually, very much over money. But the good news is that means that we have negotiation skills. We use them all the time. We just use them for other people, right? So it's not like you have to start from zero, right? What you have to do is take those skills and say, oh, there they are. There are those negotiation skills where I ask for things. I don't care if somebody says no. I figure out the best way to ask. I figure out who's the person that I should ask that is most likely to give me the answer I want. Oh, but I got to move them over so that I can use them for myself. And that's so much about what we're going to talk about today, is how do you move those skills over? Not create them out of nothing, because you don't have nothing. You've got them already. It's just recognizing what are the obstacles, why is it hard for us to use these skills for ourselves. Okay, so that should be good news. Here's the really bad news. And this is where my head's in the oven the longest. I would be irresponsible if I didn't tell you that when women negotiate for themselves, there are social consequences, right? So if I said, okay, it's really not that bad, just make a choice. Would you rather be liked or respected? That's all. No, sorry, you can't have both. I'd like you to have both, but the world isn't designed that way yet. So would you rather be liked or respected? Okay, I'm going to answer it for you. You'd rather be respected. And liked will come along, right? People will like you. If you're likable, you'll be liked over time. But there is backlash. There is pushback when women negotiate for themselves, and we have lots of studies to prove this. There is pushback, and I'm not saying there's pushback by men. There's pushback by men and women to women who negotiate for themselves. There was a car manufacturer in the United States called Saturn. And Saturn instituted a new policy. And their policy was that they would give the price that the car actually cost. No negotiation. Absolutely no negotiation, and they stuck by the policy. If you went into a Saturn dealership to buy a car, you paid the price that was on the sticker. And, they lowered the price on the sticker to be what they ultimately were going to sell it for, maybe a little higher, who knows. But you know why they did that? Which audience do you think they wanted to attract? Women, and they got it. Women by the droves went to Saturn, and you know why? Because there wasn't that horrible sense that, oh my God, I've got to negotiate for a car, and I hate that, and it feels terrible. And a friend of mine once said to me, MJ, I've really got to bring you with me the next time I negotiate for a car, because I usually go in there and say, oh, that's the sticker price, can I pay more? And she's a very smart person, but she hates negotiating. And so I said, yeah, you really do need to bring me with you, because that's not the way to do it. But Saturn was very smart. This marketing campaign understood that women hated to negotiate and that there were social consequences, and so they sold more cars to women. Right? So these social consequences are real. I'm sorry that they're there. However, we're going to figure out ways to work around them. Because it doesn't mean that you don't negotiate. It just means you do it smarter. Right? It just means you're more careful about it. It just means you understand what the risks are. And it means, and this is hard for a lot of us, it means not everyone's going to like you. I'm sorry, but not everyone is going to like you. And it's okay. It really is okay if not everyone likes us. Because you know what? If you go into a negotiation and you think, oh, I just want everybody to be happy, well, guess who's going to lose in that, right? Oh, I just want everybody to be happy, so I won't take very much for myself because I want everybody else to be happy. That person's called a sucker, right? I mean, that's just not the way to negotiate. And look, there are times in life when that's a wonderful attribute to make sure everybody's happy. That's a wonderful leadership trait. But in negotiations, it's death, right? It guarantees that you will get less than what you deserve. So we're going to talk about some of these consequences. So where does all this come from? Like, what are the myths that would keep us from negotiating? Oh, look, we can't negotiate now. In this economy? In this economy, negotiating now? Are you kidding me? When, you know what? You're lucky to have a job. What do you mean you're going to negotiate your salary? Hello. You know, I mean, look, yes, is the economy a factor? Of course it's a factor. But do you know that companies have been saying this to employees for the last, millennium? And it doesn't really matter what the economy is. It's a way, there are a lot of things that people will say to you that will be ways to shut you down. Recently, I got a phone call from my cousin. And this shows both the power of this myth and the social consequences. And my cousin said, MJ, I'm going to tell you something, but you got to promise you're not going to say, I told you so, at the end of this conversation. I said, what are you kidding? I'm going to say it now. I told you so, whatever it is, I told you so. Now what do you have to tell me, right? And Tom said, the most amazing thing happened yesterday. I'm on the board of a nonprofit, and our executive director just resigned. And he was very well respected, and it was time for him to go. And we offered the job to a woman who is very well respected in this community, knows the organization. We were really happy to get her. So what is the problem? Well, they offered her less money. I said, really? And I thought he was going to say, and she took it. And then I was going to have a little spasm, and then, I was going to say, isn't that sad? Why did that happen? It's not where the story went. He said, and she said, what are you kidding? I'm taking the same job that what's-his-face had, right? Why would I take less money for it? And they said, listen, do you know how bad the economy is? I mean, we are worth as an organization a lot less than we were worth, 5 years ago. And she said, yes, I'm aware of that. But the economy didn't go bad yesterday. And you seem to have no trouble paying him this salary all along. And they said, yes, but you've got to really think of the organization. This is a nonprofit. We do good things for people. We can't afford to pay you what we paid him. And she said, oh, okay. So let me get this straight. The economy is bad, which means that my job is harder, because my main job for you is raising money for this organization. So if the economy's bad, my job is harder. But for a harder job, you want to pay me less money. I don't think so. So I thought so far, I'm loving this story. I'm not sure where the I told you so is going to come out. And then he said, but the board meeting was a total shocker. He said, at the board meeting, when the board, which is a group of really nice people who run a nonprofit, right? So this is presumably a reasonably liberal group of people. Maybe not, but I don't think that really matters. And the board was so angry at her for wanting the same amount of money as her predecessor, not more, the same. And they called her words like selfish and self-centered and not willing to consider the financial health of the organization. And you know what else they called her? Ambitious. Whew! Ambitious. Oh, I'd hate to be called that. I mean, wouldn't you want your executive director to be the most ambitious person in town, right? To raise lots of money for you? And Tom, my cousin, said, MJ, I have to tell you, I do not believe they ever would have said those things about a man who made the same request. Now, we'll never know, right? I don't have a study that tells you that, when a man and a woman ask for the same salary or more, that there's a different reaction. But here's my cousin saying, what they said about her, I believe, had everything to do with her gender. And that's the social consequence, right? She was expected to sacrifice. And I believe, maybe I'm wrong, and please push back if you disagree with me, but I believe that part of the reason she was expected to sacrifice had to do with her gender. Right? Now, good for her, she didn't. Now, she was not liked at that moment, right? She had to make a decision. Do I want to be liked or do I want to be respected? And she voted for respected at that moment, and that was the right thing to do. And then she'll work on being liked. Look, once she raises a lot of money for that organization, they're going to kiss the ground she walks on, right? They're going to love her once she makes a lot of money for them. So this all will pass. But it was very interesting that people talked about her in that way, and I did get to say I told you so. And this is the good work is its own reward. And here's what I have to say to you. Not in my lifetime, not in my 15-year-old daughter's lifetime, is good work going to be its own reward. We really do believe if I just put my head down, if I work hard, if I'm really good at what I do, they'll ask me to be a TA. Sorry, won't happen. And then there's that little voice, that little entitlement voice. Mine doesn't necessarily say, am I as good as I think I am, or do I really deserve this? Mine says, why are you always so pushy? Why can't you just be happy with what you've got? Right? But we all have those little voices. Anybody relate to that? Just that little voice in your head that says, what are you doing? Why are you asking for this? Do you really deserve this? Right? And when you hear that voice, when that voice says, oh, maybe I don't deserve this, just say, shh, quiet voice, you're not useful. Voice, go away. It's like the little devil and the little angel on your shoulder. Well, that's the little devil saying, oh, you're not worth it. You've got to figure this out. And, we all want to make that voice be quiet. We have the power to negotiate if we see that the situation lends itself to that. And women worry about this a lot. They worry about negotiation as harming the relationship. And a negotiation done well enhances the relationship. If you negotiate politely, with information, with, relevant facts, and you say, this is what I want, and this is what I think I deserve, doesn't mean you'll always get it, but it won't harm the relationship most of the time. In fact, how much does it harm the relationship if you're undervalued, or underpaid, or underappreciated, right? It doesn't help any of my relationships, so it's just something to think about. And we have that hopeless thing, I can't change the situation, it's just way too hopeless. Or the gullible, they'll pay me what I'm worth. I'll succeed, they'll give me the job when I'm ready for it.